Well, Bennett Kessler filed this following report. When they recently traveled to Whistler Blackcomb Ski Resort, town of Mammoth officials learned that Whistler has a big village, highly developed events, and incentives for developers. Things to think about in Mammoth Lakes. Now, Councilman John Eastman from Mammoth, as well as Matthew Lehman, flew to Whistler with town manager Dan Holler. Eastman made it clear that Mammoth, quote, won't be Whistler, end quote. What officials did learn from Whistler is the need to incentivize developers to invest in Mammoth. Eastman said that Mammoth Planning Council and town people have stressed the need to, quote, be ready for the next growth spurt, end quote. He said that was a subject for talk during the Whistler event. Eastman said the need for offering incentives to developers was the, quote, screaming message at Whistler. We will not see new major private sector development unless owners are incentivized, according to Eastman. He said Whistler Village claims 65% annual occupancy. Mammoth is more like 40%. Now, Eastman named employee housing and marketing as two other key areas at which Whistler has succeeded. He said Whistler officials thought that the Mammoth TBID, the Business Improvement District Assessment, was a big advantage. He said they were surprised Mammoth would spend more than $5 million on marketing as a result. And also from Bennett Kessler, wondering how they could avoid mid-year bleak financial pictures when in fact the town budget ends up rosy. The Mammoth Town Council recently voted to accept a pre-audit financial report for last fiscal year and to allocate the nearly $2 million of unspent revenue. Mammoth Mayor Rick Wood said he was frustrated that the council started with, quote, such dire predictions and now we are doubling our reserve for economic uncertainty, end quote. Finance manager Cindy Myrold said $715,000 budgeted was not spent on legal fees. Very little snow removal took place because of the lack of snow, and transient occupancy tax came in $660,000 higher than expected. All of these and other factors were unknowns until the end. Myrold did say more analysis of TOT should take place. She basically said it's better to budget for expenses than to end up short. Now, property taxes came in at around $190,000 more than expected, and so did other revenues. Town manager Dan Holler said department heads also took the town's serious situation to heart and cut expenses. The staff recommended that the town council add $1.3 million to the reserve for economic uncertainty, which doubled the already $1.3 million in that account. They advised allocating the rest of the end of the year fund balance of $1.9 million on zoning code update work, a new finance computer system, and contingencies. Now, Mammoth Lakes Tourism Director John Erdy said TOT collection efforts have gone a long way to raise more money too, with 195 new licenses this year. You can see more on both of those stories on Mammoth on our website, SierraWave.net. Well, Bennett Kessler also filed this report after Inyo County Administrator Kevin Caruncio underlined the earlier news that pay raises for all classes of employees will cost the county $1.8 million more next fiscal year and more than double that the following year. Workers began to question what happened. Caruncio pointed to equity adjustments made for many workers who had shouldered the same duties as others but took home less pay. Now, citizens and courthouse workers themselves are sensitive to pay hikes one way or the other. As a result of the equity changes, some employees got 30% raises. Caruncio explained that an internal view of jobs and pay revealed, quote, gross inequities regarding the level of responsibility, independent judgment, and skill. We were out of whack enough, he said, that we had to make significant adjustments, end quote. Now, the reason for the inequities, according to Caruncio, was a lack of a merit-based system, which has now been put in place. Caruncio admitted there were some big jumps in pay, but relative to jobs within the county, he said it was a matter of fairness. Now, the $1.8 million of additional personnel costs covers cost of living adjustments and some equity changes for all, but elected officials, assistants, and probation officers, both of which are still in negotiations. County workers had received no cost of living increases in 4 years. Caruncio points to a workshop on December 17th on creative budget solutions, and he hopes to bring in the city of Bishop and others to look for government savings. And again, more on that story on our website, sierrawave.net. Well, with Thanksgiving here and the travel season approaching, the California Highway Patrol reminding all motorists to ensure everyone inside their vehicle is buckled up before heading out to the roadways. Now, whether your travels take you across the country or just across town, buckling up is one way to help secure a safe arrival at your destination, according to the CHP. Providing safety and assistance throughout the state, CHP officers will engage in a maximum enforcement period. Now, this is going to be through Sunday. Now, during last year's 4.5-day Thanksgiving maximum enforcement period, CHP officers made more than 1,300 arrests for driving under the influence. And as always, motorists are encouraged to be on the lookout for impaired drivers and report them by calling 911. So let's be safe out there and have a nice Thanksgiving, shall we? We'll be back with more news.